Hi, I'm Ling Yuan, Application Scientist here at LI-COR. In this video, I'm going to demonstrate how to install a SDI-12 sensor onto your 8200-104 long-term chamber when you use a long-term chamber with a 8250 multiplexer. So the 8200-104 long-term chamber can integrate SDI-12 sensor, or say SDI, all sensors use SDI communication protocol. So I'm going to use Stevens HydraProbe as an example today for this video, but you can connect any other SDI-12 sensor in your case. So to install this probe, you can connect to any of these three connectors on the back of the long-term chamber. So one, the connector will be used for the air thermistor from the chamber, but you can connect the probe to any of these two connectors. If you have a T-split fitting, you can connect up to 9 SDI-12 sensor to each chamber. So today, I'm going to, after the installation, I'm going to configure the Stevens HydraProbe on my software, on my computer in the lab, so we don't have to take my computer to the field later. Okay, let's get started. So first, I need to connect the sensor to the long-term chamber. So the connectors are keyed. So you have to align the key up first before you thread the connector. So I'm going to install it on the first connector, and I align the key, and then I thread the connector until snug, and double check, make sure it is tight and securely installed. Okay, so next we are going to configure the sensor on the software so the sensor can be added to your 8250 multiplexer user interface. Now I have connected the system to my computer, and I have put the 8250 multiplexer user interface out, so you can see this screen. So when you configure a Stevens HydraProbe, you need to edit the address, the sensor, the probe address, and the soil type first. So before we add the sensor into the multiplexer configuration, we need to configure the sensor first, which you can do under Tools, and then pick SDI-12 console. So you can come to this screen to configure the sensor address and the soil type. Before you configure the HydraProbe, you need to pick your active port, so which is the port number your sensor or your HydraProbe is connected to on your multiplexer. So if you click here, you can see the drop-down list. So my long-term chamber is connected onto the port 8 on the multiplexer, and my sensor is on this long-term chamber. So I will pick port 8. Okay, I changed to port 8. So then I can configure my Stevens HydraProbe to change its address and the soil type. Why I need to configure the sensor's address? Because after your sensor or your SDI-12 sensor is connected to your long-term chamber, the system will assign one address to the SDI-12 sensor. By default, the address will be usually 0. It's okay if you have only one SDI-12 sensor connected to your long-term chamber. So you can use that default address. But if you have multiple sensors connected to one chamber, they may have the same address, which will interfere the talking or the communication between the sensor with the system. So in that case, you will not achieve any data from your sensor. In that case, if you do have multiple sensors connected onto one chamber, you need to manually change or configure the sensor address so each sensor have a different address. So you can, in that way, the communication should be smooth and you can achieve data from the sensor. So first, since now we have only one sensor connected, but as a demonstration, I will want to change the address, just assume we have multiple sensors here. So now I want to check what address the sensor currently owns. So to do that, I can press Query All. So you can see currently my SDI-12 sensor has the address of 1. So say I want to change the address, then you need to send a command over here. So the command is in the format of one number and letter A and a second number. So the first number is the current address, your sensor address, and the A means address. And the second number is a new address you want to assign to the sensor. So then you click Send. Now you see the sensor has been assigned a new address, which is 2. So next, besides configure the sensor address, we need to configure your soil type. So there are 4 soil types that can be recognized, which are sand, silt, clay, and loam. They are numbered from 1 to 4 separately. You can send a command to change your soil type over here. So the format of the command will be a number, which is your sensor address. We just assigned a new sensor address, which is number 2. So press 2. And then capital letter X, and then letter S for soil, and then followed by your soil type. So for clay, that will be number 3. So 3. Then send. Okay, so you can see the soil has been changed to clay. So now you have finished configuring the sensor address and also changed your soil type. For the soil type, you just pick the tab that can best represent your working site. That will be good. And then on the configuration of the multiplexer, you need to add the HydraProbe into this configuration. So the Stevens sensor is available over here under the sensor library. So Stevens, so click Stevens. So you have Stevens HydraProbe over here. So you click, and that will be nested automatically under your long-term chamber that the sensor is connected to. So then you can expand the Stevens HydraProbe, and you can see your sensor address is over here. So you just change that address to 2, and then just use the default setting for the measurement site. And then for the following 2 parts, that's your soil moisture and your soil temperature. And you can use the measurement number 1 and 3 for the moisture and temperature, and this is the units, so you don't have to change them. And then after that, you can just press verify to make sure everything is okay. No issue found. Okay. So then next you can view the lab data or the real-time graph to make sure the sensor is behaving as expected. To view the real-time graph on the instrument, you can go to the home icon, then select variable, select unavailable data over here from the drop-down list. Then you go to the long-term chamber and find the soil moisture and the soil temperature. So click and the data will show up over here. And you can also pick the soil temperature data over here. Once you click the variable name over here, the data will be plotted in real time on your right hand side. Okay. And you can also click on the moisture and it will also show on your right hand side. No worries, my moisture reading is 0 right now because this is just a demonstration. So my probe is not inserted into the soil. So that's why my sensor is giving 0. But in your case, it should be more reasonable. Okay, so here is how you can configure your SDI-12 sensor. I'm using the Stevens HydraProbe as a demonstration. For other SDI-12 sensor, the procedure or the steps should be the same. When installing the Stevens HydraProbe, it is critical to make sure 3 things. So first, make sure the base plate of the probe is flush with the soil. So no gap in between. Since any gap will be averaged to your data, and that will affect your data accuracy. Second, when you insert the probe into the soil, avoid any air pocket. Similarly, air pocket will affect the sensor performance. Last, it is critical to make sure the soil you would like to measure is undisturbed. So for example, I want to measure this area, so I can dig a hole next to it like this. I already did. So a little spade will be useful. So make sure the side of the soil is smooth and undisturbed. So then you can just insert the probe into the side horizontally, like 5 centimeters below the soil surface. Then like this, and insert, and make sure there's no gap between the base plate of the probe and the soil. So that is critical. Then after the installation, just replace the soil and bury the probe. Make sure the probe is not visible. Okay, now we have added the sensor to the LI-8250 multiplexer user interface, so we can achieve the data from the Stevens HydraProbe. So we have other videos and resources on our support website. Please feel free to check them out. As always, if you have any questions, please feel free to contact technical support or your local distributors. Thank you for watching.